This is Greg Troutwine. I'm the editor of Maritime Reporter and Engineering News. We're here with Maritime Reporter TV at the Shipping Insight 2016. And now we're with Marty Slade of Yale University. Mr. Slade, thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for interviewing me.
Oh, absolutely. Just to kick off, can you give us a short description, your title, and your area of responsibility at Yale?
Sure. I'm the Director of Research for Yale Occupational and Environmental Medicine, and our expertise currently is trying to understand the root causes of disease and injury among occupational workers, and in this case, maritime workers.
Okay. I mean, interesting. We just had a brief discussion previously, but how did you come to maritime healthcare?
So about 5 years ago, FutureCare CEO Christina DeSimeone contacted us up at Yale and said she runs a telemedicine company that collects data on maritime workers and was interested in having another look at the data to see how effective telemedicine is in helping keep crews well and healthy.
Okay. And so can you explain, I guess, give me some parameters of the study, how long it took, what exactly you looked at, and just a bit more detail.
Okay. So what we did was we asked Christina for data on all the incidents that are recorded.
Okay.
So that includes injuries and illnesses that get called in.
Okay.
And what we did was we tried to understand what percentage of the crew that represented.
Okay.
So each ship has a certain crew number, and we were able to determine very crude rates of disease and illness by type of illness and type of injury, or what body part was injured.
Okay.
And so we could then start to look at the data and analyze, are injuries really worse than illnesses or vice versa? What is the outcome of these different types of events? Are some worse than others? Are there some that are preventable? And so we have dug a lot into that. We've been trying to get a little more data about the non-injured people, which turns out to be very difficult in the maritime world.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the maritime world versus the other studies that you've conducted, what's unique? Is there anything unique about the maritime business that went into this study or affected this study?
That's a great question. So the maritime industry is very similar in that there's people that bring with them all their own risk factors, their age, whatever chronic diseases they may or may not have, genetic susceptibilities, whatever that is. And they're working just like anywhere else on land. But they are working away from land in many cases when they go out on 9-month cruises. And they're very isolated. They're almost an invisible workforce. People just don't know about them. Quite honestly, I didn't realize there was 1.5 million seafarers until I started to get involved in this. And so since there's no ports in the center of towns anymore, for many reasons, including security, people don't even see these workers. And so they're invisible, and whatever's happening to them is happening kind of in isolation. And they're not near a hospital, they're not near a clinic, they don't have a doctor or nurse on board. And so we think that it's a group of people that really could use some extra help.
Okay. So in conclusion, you did the study. What did you find?
Well, we found, contrary to what we'd been told, that there are many more, about 70% of the events are actually illnesses and not injuries.
Okay.
That was a little bit surprising.
Okay.
Very important, though. And then when we look at what the illnesses are made up of, they tend to be a lot of respiratory, which is not all that surprising being out in the ocean, dermatological, skin conditions, and dental are probably the 3 largest. But we also found that once the event was called in, the likelihood of being put right back onto full work was higher if you had an illness than if you had an injury. So although there's more illnesses, they are somewhat less severe in the gross sense of the word.
Okay. So just in summarizing our thoughts here, telemedicine in the maritime industry
is a excellent tool to help keep the crews healthier, a little more well, and make sure that we can cause the people that need to get help immediately on land to get it, but many times they don't. We can manage it with telemedicine, and we can prevent very costly diversions of ships.
Excellent. Okay. This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV. And Marty, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
you.